My name is John Berlyne, and I am the owner of the Zeno Agency, which is an agency that specialises in science fiction and fantasy, although we are actually expanding into other areas as well. I can give my dad the best science fiction and fantasy book. I can give him something like William Gibson's Neuromancer and tell him that it's the best book ever, and he'll look at it and he just won't get it. And it's because his brain isn't wired in quite the right way. So I think in order to write science fiction fantasy, you have to have some appreciation of it, understanding of what the tropes are, if only to know what to avoid in terms of cliche. It's almost an impossible question to ask because you're talking about a rich history of some incredible fiction. I would just say read everything you can get hold of. Read the classics, just read. And also read outside, you know. I mean, one of my favourite fantasy novels, A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. Brilliant fantasy novel, but that's what it is. It's a fantasy story. So it's a very flexible genre, and there are things in science fiction and fantasy that, particularly nowadays, cross over into mainstream fiction. We live in a very interesting age where that crossover area publishers are very keenly interested in that crossover. I'm a firm believer in not spending 5 minutes on your submission pitch when you've spent 5 years on your novel. It is kind of like a job interview, and you would not go to a job interview without knowing the name of the company or the person that you were going to meet, without knowing the job that you were going for. So do your research is first and foremost the first thing to do. I'm sure it was a lot harder before the internet existed, but nowadays there's really no excuse for people to approach agents without having done the basics, which is go to their website, find out who they are, find out who their clients are, learn their names and address your submission letter to the agent. Agents like to feel special. But really there's no substitute for doing that research. In terms of what I'm looking for, I have a very busy client list, and I am in a position where I can pick and choose who I want to work with. So I am looking for professional people. I'm looking for people who are serious about what they want to do. I'm looking for people that have an understanding of the business into which they wish to break into. And particularly in science fiction and fantasy, I'm looking for people that have an understanding of that market and the commercial imperatives of that market. I would strongly recommend that you do not send a query letter that has a spelling mistake in it. It sounds so basic, and I know that, you know, we can all get kind of, God knows I do, you get snowblind in your emails, you read it 17 times and you still find a typo, but the reality is that you're working with words. And if you want to create a good impression, you need to be able to spell, and your grammar needs to be correct. And if you make a mistake as fundamental as that, it doesn't encourage me to want to read your manuscript.